Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Press Start Podcast. This is episode number 2. I am Nostalgic Dan one of your hosts, and I am also joined by another co-host, Clive McVicker, aka Quick Breeze. How are you doing?
I'm doing very, very well. How are you?
I'm great. And I am also joined by Mr. Enthusiastic himself, Derek, aka MrTechnoSqueek. How are you doing?
You did that intro a lot better than Quick Freeze last time.
Oh, come on, baby. Why do you have to be like that?
You called me Techno Squeeze.
That's
Come
because
on.
I told you last time it's because you were so damn lovable.
Oh,
You can't hate me for that.
I know.
So, do we want to start off with... Well, do we have any announcements first? Any big announcements?
Well, I would tell people we have a guest tonight.
Oh, yeah. That would help. Well, there's a question mark as a symbol, so I'm like, didn't know. So we do have a guest, and we are joined by the great Greg, RPGswagman. How are you doing?
G'day everyone. Believe it or not, I am the guest host for this episode. That was priceless.
It's classic. So, RPGswagman, do you want to tell us a little bit about your channel and what you do?
Of course, I've actually got 3 YouTube channels, but my main one is the RPGswagman channel where I talk about RPGs, and of course I have the goal of collecting every RPG that ever existed, which is a lifetime goal, I can tell you that now.
That's a huge chore.
It is, it absolutely is, and I did compile my list last year and did my videos on all the games I need to get. So I'm sort of focusing on certain systems at the moment, like Power PS1 is probably my most biggest focused one. I've gotten a few good games. I've been told by many people that I'm a lucky bastard because I've got Suikoden 1 and 2, which is probably one of the rarest
Lucky
PAL
bastard.
copies. Yeah, it's a really good story how I came across both of those games because they're my favorite games of all time. And go check those videos out because they're really cool. But yeah, other than that, I talk about RPG news, do reviews, all sorts of fun. And for my second channel, which is the Kojima Collector, I talk about Metal Gear Solid and Snatcher and Police Knots and other Hideo Kojima games and related news. And lastly, I do my own podcast with Aerodynamish called RP Gibberish. And yeah, I've had really, really fun doing that too. We pretty much shoot the breeze about RPGs and all that jazz, and we have a lot to talk about.
Didn't you have Pete Dorr as a guest one time?
That was actually on Muruguru 553's Power On podcast.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember
That was excellent. Talking both to Pete and Taylor was one of my favorite podcasts of all time because you couldn't get 3 of the biggest RPG fans in one place if you tried. It was so good.
So, I guess we should talk about what we've been playing. And
Why don't you go ahead with that?
Dragon Quest 9, just been grinding and grinding. And just a tiny bit of Dragon Quest 4. I just got that like a week ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And finished up Infamous on the PS3. And that's it.
Really, that's awesome. I want to play Infamous.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Really glad you got Dragon Quest 4. That was probably one of my favorite Dragon Quest games.
I never played 4. I played and beat 9, and I love the hell out of that game.
Yeah, 4's excellent because it's actually the start of a trilogy, because back in the day, they kind of released the Dragon Quest games as a trilogy, like 4, 5, and 6, just loosely around the universe. There's no, like, characters that go from one game to the other. It's just, like, thousands of years in between. But I really like 4 because there's a chapter system where it pretty much goes from the view of a different character each chapter, and then leads up to the last chapter where they all come together.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah. And I believe like chapter 3 is really good. I've been told that, from someone. I
Yeah,
think his name's RPGswagman.
Who's that
yeah, it's yeah. I have no fucking clue. Yeah, it just seems like a weirdo to me. Nah, Chapter 3 is awesome because something very unorthodox happens at the start of the game and a lot of fans love it. Yeah, you just have to wait till when you get there.
Alrighty. So, Dan, what have you been playing?
Well, I've been playing quite a bit. I recently got some new retro games, so like I tried out Echo the Dolphin on the Genesis, and it's an interesting game. It's really weird, like weird concept, but it's interesting.
I have to say something.
What's that?
I fucking hate that game. I'm
You're a
sorry.
dolphin.
I'm sorry, but I can't stand it.
I never said I loved the game.
I know you didn't. I just said can't stand it.
Well, I wanted to check it out since I heard a lot of people talk about it.
About how they hate it, or what?
Well, that's just mentioned a lot when you bring up the Sega Genesis.
Yeah, it's like one of those staple games for the system.
Don't know why.
You know
Well,
what should be a staple game? Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
Yeah, word.
But yeah, I tried out another game, and it's Vector Man on the Sega Genesis, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a better game.
Yes.
It's a really cool game.
That game kicks so much ass.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it so far.
Yeah. The second one's even cooler. I haven't beaten 2 though. I've beaten 1, but I played through a little bit of 2.
So yeah, and I tried out some PS1 games. There's this really cool racing game called Streak Hoverboard Racing. I got it for really cheap, but it's actually a really well done racing game. And it's like you can do tricks and all that. It's just a really cool game. And there's this really weird puzzle game called Puzznic on the PS1. It's kind of like Japanesey, and it's just really bizarre and kind of challenging. Well, actually really challenging. I'm stuck already, but... And what else have I been playing? Well, I know, Greg, you might have a little bit to say about this game, but I put some more time into The Legend of Heroes: Trails in the Sky. And
Yeah, that's my favorite game of this year.
yeah,
I'm a big fan of Neon Falcon, mainly because of East, but I've been slowly playing some of their other series, and I've been told by many friends about Sorinoku Seki, which is Trails in the Sky in Japanese, especially from Uragoro553, who's told me it's one of the best games of all time. So I went and played it, and I totally agree. It just had me glued. It was the first game in years where, usually nowadays when I play a game, it's usually for about 3 or 4 hours, but Trails in the Sky was the first game in ages where I'd played for 8 to 10 hours. Even more, because I was just so glued to the characters and the storyline. Oh, it's just so good, and the guys at XC did a wonderful job translating it. And, one of the things I feel sorry for them, but I'm really happy that they got through it, is one of those games has like 1,000,000 lines of text. It's one of the biggest text-heavy games of all time. So,
definitely though. I'm really enjoying it. The dialogue is
the
amazing.
coffee machine right next to her. Just to get it through it. I'm just like, oh, well done, guys. So I hope they get going with second chapter very soon,
Yeah.
because it is a trilogy, and there's even a second, or I wouldn't say a second trilogy, but there's a second Trails series in Japan right now, and the 5th game of the entire series is just to be released next month.
Nice. Hope that comes out to the States.
Oh, I hope so too.
Yeah, like I'm definitely like just blown away by this game. Like the dialogue is really well done. It's really humorous at times too. And like there's little things like attention to detail where like, you know, you open a treasure chest and you get the item and you can still like interact with the treasure chest, and it's got some like witty one-liner to say.
There's tons of one-liners in a treasure chest. It's like, believe it or not, you took the item from here. Da da da, nothing. And just they just went for it, and it's just so good. I can't remember which one was my favorite, but it just added an oodles of charm to it. But like you said before, I reckon it's one of the funniest games in ages.
Yeah.
And I think it's really good because most RPGs, they try to be over-dramatic. with Doom and Gloom. And it's very nice to have an RPG where it's basically, I kind of say some of the Wonder Years, where they're just traveling, shooting the breeze, some trouble happens, but ultimately, there's just good times to be had. But two of my favorite characters whenever they talk is Estelle and Oliver, because Oliver will say something really over the top, and Estelle just, in beautiful fashion, shuts him down every time. And it's just like, I love it. I love the game so much.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm like hooked on it. But I also started up another RPG on the PS3, and it's Disgaea 3: Absence of Justice. Now, it's okay from what I played so far. I'm kind of mixed on it because I don't know. Like it's one of those Japanese RPGs that's like really bizarre and like there really isn't a story to it. It's just like really quirky and out there. But like the battle system is kind of like really over the top, but it's cool, I guess.
It's kind of pokes fun at the genre.
Yeah,
because
basically.
Because I've been with Disgaea since the first game, and it really does, if you just listen to the story and the gameplay, it really does poke fun at the genre. What's really cool concerning Disgaea 3 is the main character is voiced by, I'm going to butcher his name, Vic Mongoya. He is the voice of Edward Elric from Full Metal Alchemist. I actually got to speak to him at a convention one time, and everyone was asking him Full Metal Alchemist questions. But being the RPG fan, I was the only one that stood up and talked about Disgaea 3 with him. And he's just shocked that someone knew about that. So it was really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool from what I played so far. I do like the battle system. It's pretty innovative, even though it's a little over complex, but you get used to it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like that's pretty much all I've been playing. What about you, Cliva? Quick Freeze?
Well, honestly, I haven't been playing all that much, but I have been interested in RPGs since the last episode, but since I don't have that many RPGs on like a handheld, because I've been busy a lot, but I have been playing Mega Man Star Force the Dragon Edition, which is, it's kind of like a grid-based RPG where you fight on a grid, and I'm only about 2 hours into it. The story's okay. All I know so far is the main character likes to be yelled at by everyone for like not going to school and just the most ridiculous little things. But the combat so far, it's okay. I'm just now getting into like the first boss area, and I can't really say if I recommend it all because so far it's just okay. I have to play a little more of it. But other than that, I have been playing this kind of like video game trivia thing on my phone where it's basically just asks you random video game questions and you just kind of answer them as best as you can in a certain amount of time. I've been addicted to this thing all week. I got it on the Android marketplace for about like $1.99. It's a good game for that price, but mainly throughout the entire week, I just been getting back into I don't know if you guys know, I play the Yu-Gi-Oh card game.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I've been, like last Tuesday, or Tuesday just passed, I fixed my deck, got it all upgraded, and I just been doing a lot of that lately, so that's about it really, just those three things. What have you been playing, Mr. RPG Swagman?
In my podcast, we have a thing called a weekly challenge where we challenge ourselves a game for that week, so we can spread our knowledge and RPG love. But this week I've actually been challenging myself with a few games. I've picked up a game that's called Toneko's Mystery Dungeon. And what's funny about that, I was hinting to TechnoSqueek about the third chapter of Dragon Quest IV. Well, that's the chapter of Toneko, and he became a very popular character for Dragon Quest fans and a big character in Japan. So a couple of years after they made Dragon Quest IV, they gave him his own game, and it's a roguelike RPG where you go down a mystery dungeon and you pick up items, you kill enemies and all this. Very hard game, but it's very quirky. It's really cool to see. It was one of the first games where you saw the Dragon Quest monsters very lifelike. so that's why it got a lot of attention. It was like back in 1993 for the Super Nintendo. So it's a pretty fun game. I've been also playing Romancia, which is by Neon Falcom. It was part of the Dragon Slayer series, which Legend of Heroes is also part of the Dragon Slayer series, which is a whole bag of marbles I'll get into another day on a podcast because it's really confusing. But that game's really friggin' hard. It was actually made before the NES game Legacy of the Wizard. Have you ever heard of that?
I haven't, no.
Well, anyone who's played Legacy of the Wizard, well, Romancy was the game that came out before that. Really hard. I think I only got up to like the third screen and can't even get past it because it's really hard. It's one of those games where the jump button is up. It's not a button. You have to press up to jump, and it's really awkward. It's just like, oh, God. Pissing me off. But other than that, I've been also playing some Dragon Quest 6 on the side, and also been playing a game I always constantly play like every year, because it's kind of like my Mario was Wonder Boy Monster Land for the Master System, because I love that game so much. But ultimately, with my free time, I've been mainly playing Xenoblade on the Wii, which got released in Australia and the UK. And
jealous.
that
I'm
game
jealous.
is awesome. Yeah, everyone's jealous. And they've got every reason to be, because it really is a fantastic game. Beautiful visuals, some of the best I've ever seen on the Wii. Voice acting is really good, despite a lot of people bitching about the British voice acting. I have to say it's really good. And for those that don't like it, they can turn on the Japanese. Combat is very fluid. You know, it took me, I think, half an hour to master it. And what I like is it's a go-at-your-own pace RPG. If you don't want to do the main story, there's tons of side quests to do. And even that, you can just pretty much collect items, you know, which is really cool because my friend Aaron and I, we kind of have a conversation about what's better, this or FF12, and I said Xenoblade in a heartbeat. And he goes, why? Because it's more fun and the characters are more likable.
Yeah.
And the cutscenes are just absolutely gorgeous. I'm just glued every minute playing Xenoblade. Yeah.
I really wish I could get my hands on that.
I really hope Nintendo gets their finger out of their ass and decides to bring it out for America, because I don't see why not. A lot of people, of course, are throwing the blame at good old Reggie. I don't know. I just hope you guys do get it, because it'd be a shame if you missed out on it.
So let's start gaming
why
news.
why don't you do the news, Squeak?
All right. First off, we got Sonic Generations is getting a collector's edition. Let me read down what comes in this collection. Okay, first, a collectible figurine with both classic Sonic and modern Sonic. Exclusive numbered gold ring thing. I don't know. It's like, it's kind of like it looks like it's in one of those bubble things that you would get at like one of those, I don't know what you call them, the claw thing, you know?
The crane games?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean UFO machine?
Yeah, and it says like Sonic Generations on the side of it. And then a 20 years of Sonic art book, which that's pretty cool, containing never before seen sketches and images from the past 20 years. The 20th anniversary Sonic soundtrack, which I'm really excited about.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It features a selection of tracks handpicked by Sonic Team, so hopefully nothing bad.
Is your favorite on there, TechnoSqueek?
Probably not.
Which is the flying battery, because we talked about this before.
Yeah,
I really like.
I don't know why they didn't put flying battery in Sonic Generations. Makes me sad.
I was hoping they'd put Lava Reef, but that was a big tall order.
Man, I love Lava Reef too. Great music. The the history of Sonic Birth of an Icon documentary is also coming with it. An exclusive collection of interviews of footage charting Sonic's life, and limited edition packaging and bonus additional downloadable content for the game. You already know what I think about DLC, but I mean, if, you buy, collector's edition, it doesn't, it's pretty cool. But guess what? It's only coming in Europe. Yay!
As is everything else. I shouldn't be complaining because everything came out in America during the 90s, so it's just surprised how everything's turned out. But one thing I'm interested in is there's the drawings of Sonic's life. I'm wondering if there's going to be a picture of Alex Kidd going outside the door and Sonic coming in,
or like Mighty or the rabbit, that was before Sonic ever existed, or it was also Ray, I believe. Ray the Squirrel, that was only in Sega Sonic, that arcade game, only in Japan, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe he was also a going to be Sonic, their mascot or whatever. But it releases November 2011. That's all it says. So yeah, what do you guys think about that?
I'm actually wicked interested in this. I want the soundtrack, the art book, and that statue. That statue looks beautiful to me.
Yeah.
So I think when that comes out or before it comes out, I have to find some way to import that thing.
Yeah, me too. Totally. Gotta ask Tony to import it for me. So, what else? Oh, hey, look. Wii U controller having problems. What? Okay. Alright, so, a reliable source has indicated that the Wii U may be a headache for some developers, as the final hardware has been rushed through the door. The worst thing that says right here, it says it won't work as advertised. That exactly what claims are being brought up in regards to the Wii U. Worst of which is the wireless functionality, which simply does not work at all. In fact, even the tethered controller, which still doesn't work properly. It works, but it doesn't work how it should. Which begs the question, what is the point of having a new controller that doesn't even work? And developers are expecting Nintendo to release this hardware in June of 2012. So, what about that?
I could see the whip getting cracked very shortly. Oh. Man, that sucks, Hopefully they can sort out their shit, and get everything together before the console's release.
They need to. I mean, their whole selling point on that system is that controller. What's the purpose of it if it's not going to work?
My big thing about it is they may, I don't know, may push, how the GameCube had the Game Boy player.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm really hoping they're doing a DS thing.
Oh yes, I would love that.
I mean, it has a screen on it that that is a touch screen, and then you got your TV. It would work perfect. Playing Dragon Quest IX multiplayer. Yeah.
That'd be cool. one thing I got to say is Nintendo's got to be very careful because they've made a lot of risky ventures lately, you know, and
Yeah.
we'll get into that a bit more. But of course, the whole controversy surrounding the 3DS and how they've taken a cut. Iwata himself taken the cut, which says a lot, you know. And you know, we'll get into another reason because you know later on, or probably on one of my channels. But
Alright, there's a company called Think Optics, and they have a thing called the Wave It remote. Guess what they're doing? They're taking Nintendo to court.
cha-ching.
Cha-ching. Oh my god. They're claiming that the Wii gaming products infringe on a few of the patents for their Wave It remote. The main one under fire is the U.S. patent number 7796116 called Electric Equipment for Handheld Vision-Based Absolute Pointing System. Okay. According to Law 360, which is a site that I looked up, and it's just about, you know, law stuff. About, you know, like what I'm talking about right here. Think Optics' main argument is that Nintendo had prior knowledge that the Wii would infringe on these patents because of the rejection certain claims in Nintendo filed patents by the trademark office. In their claim, Think Optics said the rejection of applications assigned to Nintendo based on the 116 patent is proof that the Nintendo defendants knew or should have known of the objective risk that one or more of their products infringed at least one claim at least the 116 patent. So, what should we do? Nintendo, what should we do? Yeah, what should Nintendo do?
I don't know. It sounds like they got a lot of problems to take care of, but it's Nintendo. I mean, they'll probably find a way out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah, Nintendo's huge. I'm pretty sure they can take care of themselves in one way or another, you know.
They've had, no, I was just say they've had their fair share of lawsuits in the past. You know, some they succeed in, like the whole Donkey Kong controversy one, where Universal Studio took them to court and they won because of the use of Donkey Kong. They thought it was his likeness was like King Kong, and Universal Studios owned the rights to King Kong, but you know, Nintendo won. But that's really interesting because they're good in court. But there's one case they actually lost. One of their old developers who created the Fire Emblem series back in the SNES went off to the PlayStation 1 and made a game called Tyrian Saga. Surprisingly, the game looked very identical to Fire Emblem. So Nintendo didn't want this, so they took them to court, and they actually lost, meaning the game was able to be released, which is probably the only time that they kind of lost a case. But in terms of this, you know,
they also lost the case with the Game Genie as well, because, you know, something about people that bought their games, you know, they could do whatever with, you know, whatever, they can eat the damn thing if they wanted to, or put it in a toaster, you know, because it was theirs, because they bought it. So that's about it.
You don't have any more?
No.
Dragon Quest X?
Yeah.
Dragon Quest, yeah.
Big.
I knew that was gonna come up. This was like,
I
you
totally
sure?
forgot. Dragon Quest X. Yeah, Dragon Quest X has came out, or well, not came. They have, you know, released video, pictures, whatever, and it's an MMO, and people are bitching because it's an MMO, and like, you know, RPGswagman has said before we recorded, 300 shares has gone down, and yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, the reaction to Dragon Quest X has been very monumental. I was there Monday when it got streamed live on Ustream, because when I got the message they were going to do that, I was fucking camped out, because Dragon Quest, of course, is one of my favorite series. And basically, when I saw that opening movie to the trailer, I was like, holy shit, this looks gorgeous. And I was watching the trailer and I was just like, oh, I'm so into this. And this is before knowing that it was an online game. It wasn't until like 3/4 way into the trailer, they started showing artwork like a male and female character of a race. And I'm like, hang on. And then it kept going and it's like, shit, they're doing another Dragon Quest 9. That's okay, because at this point I'm thinking it's offline still, but it's another game like Dragon Quest 3 and 9 where you make your character instead of having pre-generated ones. So it's like, oh cool, that's alright. But then when I keep hearing online through the Japanese presenters speaking, I'm like, are they saying like an online game or is an online game? So I went to my usual website who translated for me and yep, sure enough, it's an online game. And at that point, I was kind of disappointed, but because I'm a Dragon Quest freak, I'm willing to give it a go. I'm not the biggest fan of MMOs. I've never played an MMO more than a week. You know, it's just, I don't know, it's just not my favorite genre of RPG. But just looking at Dragon Quest X, it looks absolutely stunning. Like, so much to do. The graphics look beautiful. I know the Wii U version coming out is going to be in HD. It's going to look even more better. The one thing that's got me interested is the whole crafting system where you can make swords and clothing, but instead of just waiting for the character to do it for a couple of seconds, you actually have to do it by hand. Like, you actually have to stitch the clothing, and you have to tamper the sword with, like, your Wiimote or whatever, which it just looks really cool and really fun.
Isn't that on 3DS as well?
No, they're going to use a Street Pass feature where you can download your character into the 3DS, but you can't play the game. Now, there was actually something that a lot of people wanted to prove me wrong about. I want to clear the air. A lot of people says, oh, you can play it offline and online. This is what the answer is. You can play some of the game offline.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
ultimately beat it, you need to go online.
Yeah, like, you can play online, or offline, you know, single player, and then, you know, it ends, and then you have to play it online from there on out.
Yeah.
And it does have an ending, right?
It's unsure at this stage. They said that there is going to be a narrative and tons of quests, like endless amounts of quests to do on the side, which is kind of like the, you know, of course, the main feature of online games. But I still don't know if only the intro to the game is going to be offline or the entire main story is going to be included online. But a lot of people hinting it's going to be like FF11, where there was a narrative to that game. You know, because I'm used to online games having no narrative except for what's happening in, like, texts of dialogue. There's no cutscenes or anything. But I've heard that FF11's different in that respect, where it does have cutscenes and there is characters and there is a story. So it might be like that. I'm not too sure. But we'll see when it gets closer to release.
And like I've said, you know, when we were not recording, that I've heard that the multiplayer is like 9.
Yeah, because you go to the tavern and that's where you hook up with the other characters.
Yeah.
And you do control one character at a time, and then you've got if you do solo play, there is NPC characters you can get at the tavern, but ultimately it's pretty much you control your character, from what I've known. But one of the things the fans wanted another game like 8, and the only thing Square Enix took from that was, okay, let's make it look like 8, not play like it. And so the character models are back to full size, and they look really gorgeous. I really like it.
From what I've heard, the offline play it's only like the first 2 hours of the game. Like,
Yeah.
That's the only offline, and then you're forced to go online. And that's the only way. I don't. If you can beat it, that's that's the only way you can beat it if there is an ending. But what I wanted to ask you is, you said you weren't into MMOs. Can I ask you why? 'Cause I used to play like a lot of MMOs, and like I used to play them like for hours and hours and hours. Why does MMOs turn you off so much? Is it like because some of it's like repetitive, or you just don't like the people on there? Like, why is that?
It's a little bit of everything, to tell you the truth. When it comes to RPGs, it's kind of like reading a book, you know. You just want to be immersed in the story. In MMOs, you've got other people coming into your book, so to speak, and it's just like, go piss off. I want to experience this myself. Sometimes, I've never had good experiences with MMOs. I never really meet anyone, I sort of continue playing with, and they're just too focused on playing the game, not shooting shit. I've been very unlucky. I've known friends to meet other people, and they get along very well. I've never had a really good experience. And it's really, I like grinding, but there's something about online games where you actually need to have other people with you, because playing the game solo just increases the difficulty and the time to do things, and the lack of cutscenes and just main story. I don't know, it just never got to me. It's like as soon as I played an MMO, I just want to go play one of my games on my handhelds or my consoles.
So you're after the story mainly?
Yeah. When it's mainly to RPGs, yeah. There's some games where I do enjoy the gameplay as well, off to the side, but it's mainly the story when it comes to RPGs. The way I'm going to get around it for Dragon Quest X is I've pretty much said that I'm going to invite friends from YouTube to play, so I know the people I'm going to be playing with before it starts. But I can't even promise that because I have no idea how it's going to be released in Australia, if it's going to be released in Australia. Whether they're going to just, because I don't know what they're going to do between the transition of the Wii and the Wii U, because they're going to play in both versions, and I've kind of got a theory that they're going to can the Wii version and focus on the Wii U version. That's just something I think might happen. The biggest thing that really interests me is the infrastructure of the Wii, because I don't play any games over the internet with the Wii. I usually go to the Wii Shop channel or whatever, and I constantly hear a lot of things that it's one of the worst infrastructures in the gaming industry, like so many hackers, there's lots of lag, and I can't really speak about that. Have any of you guys played online games with the Wii?
Yeah, I played the Monster Hunter Tri, and I didn't really experience anything like that.
Oh, good.
So,
I played Super Smash, and it was horrible.
yeah, that actually had some lag, though. That did have lag.
That's the main game I hear the issues with.
Well, the biggest thing is like when you want to play with someone specific, you have to enter his like 16-digit friend code, and that's just annoying to have to do that over and over and over to play with people you actually want to play with.
Yeah.
I have no idea if they're going to use that for Dragon Quest X. Maybe not. Maybe they'll just have an online system where you can just come in, meet and greet, and you don't have to have friend codes, hopefully.
Well, Monster Hunter Tri did not use friend codes that often.
Oh, cool.
Like, because I was able to jump on there. I admit, like, I jumped on there with a friend who I had the friend code with for the Wii, but, like, he invited his other friends that I didn't know, and I was able to play with them, no problem. We had, like, a group of 4 people, and I only had one friend code from that one friend of mine. So, I definitely know they can do online without the friend code issue if they followed the Monster Hunter Tri example. So,
well, that's good to know. I'll be very interested if they, can streamline that so other people can play. But one last thing that's really got me interested in Dragon Quest X, and all Dragon Quest fans can say this, is how chaotic it might get for metal slimes. Because when I play Dragon Quest games, I always go for the metal slimes, which is always a gamble, because they run away, and if you kill them, you get shitloads of EXP. So I'm wondering how that's going to be tackled online in Dragon Quest X. You probably get like a fucking area that's lagged out because there's like 50 people trying to kill them for easy leveling. I could see a lot of quarreling. No, fuck off, that's my slime.
Yeah, I was playing, was it Dragon Quest 9, and I found the liquid metal slime, and I killed that thing, and I'm like, oh my god, look at what it gave me.
The ding, and then there's the
Yeah.
King Metal Slimes, and so I remember, I think it must have been 10 hours just grinding in Dragon Quest 4, killing the King Metal Slimes, getting 30,000 experience, like, here we go, ding, 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 yay!
Oh yeah, I must have gained like at least like 11 levels just grinding the liquid metal slimes. It was crazy. I was like, this is the best monster in the game.
I'm hoping to get a Metal Slime for my collection, because just, if I want to get one piece of swag for Dragon Quest, it's got to be a Metal Slime, because that's what I enjoy the most. But, yeah, like I said, I can't wait to see how that's going to work out in Dragon Quest 10.
And there's another thing I heard about that Dragon Quest X is do you know if they're gonna like have an online fee, like monthly?
Yes, there's rumors going that there is going to be an online fee.
Mm.
I don't know if they're going to use that. I don't know if Play Online still exists, because that's the feature they use for FF11 and all that. But
Yeah.
there is going to be a fee, and they say that might be like Monster Hunter Tri, where in Japan, I don't know what it's like in America if there's a fee for that. But
Well, I know in Japan there is a fee for Monster Hunter Tri, but
it's
here in the
Microsoft One.
United States there is not.
Oh, cool. Because in
So
Japan
like,
they use points. That's what I know of. They use the point
okay.
system.
Yeah, but they're still being charged by some fee though, right?
Yeah, well, from what I've heard with Monster Hunter, it basically how it works is, you have your 2,000 points, and then you pay for days. Like there's a 30-day, 60-day, and a 90-day, and the bigger
Okay.
day is the more discount you get on your points. So they might be using that for Dragon Quest. You'd have to buy a points card, and a 2001 might give you 90 days access.
Because that's how, like I used to play Champions Online in City of Heroes, which are MMOs for the PC, and they do that. You either pay like $15 a month, or like $60 you can get, no, I'm sorry, $30 for a card that lets you play for 2 months. But, those are PC games, so they're not like consoles games or anything like that. I don't know if they'll do that for Dragon Quest X or not.
Yeah, but yeah, that was the initial ports. It's saying there is going to be a fee, so...
Huh.
Yeah, I know a lot of people asked me that, and I had to say yes, and they immediately said no fucking way. Just after that, There's so many reasons why people don't want to play it. One of the biggest ones, and I'm surprised, is level 5's not making it. That's the biggest reason a lot of people are turned off, and I'm like, well, there's an answer to that. It's called Ni no Kuni, and it's coming on the PS3. Yeah, go play that, because I'm really looking forward to that as well.
Hmm.
It's strange, yeah. I'm not, like I said before, I'm not the biggest fan of MMOs, but there's 2 games now that's got me interested going back. One of them, of course, is Dragon Quest X that I mentioned before. The other is actually Phantasy Star Online 2.
Oh yeah.
Despite my feelings for the online series, because I'm a big fan of the original series on Master System and Mega Drive, I'm not a big fan of the story on online, even though I had fun. Now, that's the main reason I want to play online too, because despite the narrative or the story, it actually looks like a fun game to play. And more than that, they've added so much to make that game a more enjoyable experience. Like, I felt online got very stale and very slow at times in terms of attacking and moving, whereas I looked at online too, and it's lightning fucking quick. It really is. It's so fast, and you can jump. Which, as soon as like you can jump, that's not a big thing. It's like between online 2, that's a big thing. And and the fact that the one thing that's got me interested, I reckon they're going to get a shitload of players to play online too, is if you play a hunter class, which is guns and rifles and all that, the game actually becomes a third-person shooter because there is no reloading times. It's very fast.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So like pretty much if you want to be like an action RPG, you go the hunter class where it's all melee weapons, and then the ranger's more like the third-person shooter, which begs the question, what's the force going to be like? Because that's the spellcasters. So it'll be very interesting to see how that game pans out. And I believe it's in the beta process right now, and it's only released on the PC so far, and a lot of people are upset about that. They want that on HD consoles. But it's the safe bet right now is just to have that for the PCs.
Well, that would probably work really well for the PS3, wouldn't it, too?
I hope so too, because that's the main one. That's the console of choice I want it on. I want it on PS3 and see how it works. And I hope that, that's just a simple idea like that. I hope they don't get into their heads like, why don't we just port it to the Vita? And just like, oh shit, because they'll take longer. I know that their more popular Phantasy Star online games are actually the Universe portable games. They're actually quite popular in Japan. They actually have product placement. That's how popular it is. Like, you can go into Phantasy Star Portable 2 and there'll be a Pizza Hut spaceship.
That's funny.
There's even a downloadable content where you can have a costume where you can dress up like Colonel Sanders. I'm like,
wow.
What? So you can play this ranger character that dresses up like Colonel Sanders for a plasma gun. I'm just like...
But yeah, when Online 2 comes out, I'll be gone.
Yeah. This podcast will be on hiatus.
Yep.
Oh, fuck yeah. I'll be giving it a chance. At this stage, I probably wouldn't be able to play it because my laptop's a piece of shit, so I have to get a beast of a computer to play it.
I got a question for all you guys. What would be the first RPG you guys ever played?
What's funny is I actually had a video on that 2 weeks ago where I asked 3 RPG questions, and the first one was your first RPG, because that's something I find fascinating when I meet new people. It's like, oh, what's your first RPG?
I think I saw that video.
Was yours?
Yeah, it's good old Phantasy Star, and I was very young when I played. I was very fortunate to have that as my first RPG, because it taught me a lot about games, RPGs, and fantasy sci-fi. Like, I didn't know any laser guns. Like, I didn't watch Star Wars until after Phantasy Star. So that game introduced, like, laser guns and swords and monsters and all this. So it did a lot for me. And I'm really happy that was the first game I played RPG-wise.
I still have never played a Master System. It sucks.
I really love the Master Systems. It was actually the second console I got, but the first one we had was an Atari, and I didn't play that. I was like 3 years old, watching my dad play Pitfall. But the first, yeah, it's classic. But
I love that game.
I think I tried to play that like a couple of years ago, and it's just like, wow, you got through this, Dad? This is really hard. Really fun. But yeah, the Master System was the first console I actually played when I was really young, because like my cousin had one, and then we got one, and it wasn't the case of going after RPGs. It was just playing any game that we hadn't played that week, because we didn't buy them. We used to hire them out from a video store. So it's just like, okay, what's this week? And we just look at the shelves of games, and we had 4 different video stores that had 4 different sets of Master System games. And between all 4 of them, they pretty much had the entire Master System library. So I was very fortunate. And it wasn't until one day my dad came across Ultima 4, which was an RPG, and he really loved it. So he said, kids, whenever you see this label that says Adventure Role Playing, go get it. So my brother went and found Phantasy Star, and I'm kind of really glad he did, because I really sat down. Unlike Ultima 4, which had good music, I got really bored watching it as a kid and venture off. But Phantasy Star, I would park my ass and watch that game if I wasn't playing it, because it's just so good.
Nice.
But I'll give it over. Yeah, you guys, what is your first RPG? I'm very interested to know.
Who's first?
You are, Techno.
Well, I don't really know. I know it was either Dragon Warrior 1, otherwise known as Dragon Quest, or Final Fantasy 1. Now, I know all I did in Dragon Quest 1, Dragon Warrior, whatever, was grind, pretty much. I thought that was all you did, was just beating up monsters, walk around, beat up monsters, because I was really young at the time. And then in Final Fantasy, where you get your equipment and stuff, and then you go up and fight that dude in that castle thing, at the very start.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was the end. And then it starts, has that blue screen and tells, them, or the bridge going up or whatever, and then going, and it was crazy. Very crazy.
Yeah, we never got either Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest. The first Final Fantasy game we got was Final Fantasy 7, and the first Dragon Quest game we got was Dragon Quest 8, so we kind of came late to the party with those two games. But with Phantasy Star, that's been there since the beginning. But I was really happy for when I was able to play both those games. I actually went back and played Phantasy Star on the PSP and Dragon Quest on the SNES remake, which was fan translation. That's really good. But I enjoyed both those games.
Did Enix or Square or whoever was doing those Dragon Quest games during 8, did Square and Enix come together when they made 8?
Yeah, they did. That was the reason why they were able to distribute worldwide, because they had more money and they had a bigger consume base, because because Enix wasn't sure about Dragon Quest outside of Japan, but when they merged with Square had this audience that spanned the entire globe, so they thought they would take a chance. And secondly, because Dark Cloud had such a great rap here in Australia and Europe and around the world, because Level 5 was on board, they also took a chance on that, and it became a hit. It's one of the few platinum games here in Australia, Dragon Quest 8, so it definitely sold a lot.
So they did name it Dragon Quest 8, even though...
No, they didn't. This is how they messed up. It's called Dragon Quest: The Journey of the Cursed King, no Roman numerals. Now, pretty much for the next couple of games, like Dragon Quest 4 and 5, no Roman numerals, no numbers. It was just the title. And we thought, okay, that's going to happen. You know what happened? They, basically, when Dragon Quest 9 came out, they put in the Roman numeral. So people started getting confused, going, hang on, what was the other games? But because I'm on the internet nearly 24/7, I already knew about what numbers games were. But, to put it in afterwards,
They did the whole Square thing with us in America.
Yeah. Well, 1 is 1, 2 is 4, and 3 is 6.
Yeah. Yeah, whenever I bought 4 on the DS, a couple of weeks back, I read somewhere, that like I was on eBay actually, and it didn't say I was looking at the PAL versions for some reason, I don't know, and it didn't have the numbers on it.
Nah. Yeah, that's it. It's only for 8, 4, and 5. The others do have numbers on them.
So, who else hasn't gone yet?
I guess I could go. So, for my first RPG, I guess technically, even though I was really young when I played this, it would be Pokemon Blue on the Game Boy. I obviously didn't realize what I was playing at the time. I was a little kid, and I didn't know it was RPG. But it was a great game. I loved it. But technically, for me, I consider my first RPG is Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars on the Super Nintendo. It was the first RPG I played on like a home console. And basically, I bought the game not knowing what kind of game it was. I was like, RPG, what does that mean? So I'm like, I just bought it basically because, Mario was on the cover. And I'm like, oh, it's a Mario game. I don't have that. I guess I'll play it. And I got it like at Toys R Us, brand new back in the day for like $15. It was a great deal to have a brand new copy. And I popped it in and came home and I'm like, wait a second, what is this? I'm like, it's in full 3D on the Super Nintendo. I'm like, this is amazing, the music. And I got in my first battle. I'm like, it's turn-based. Like, my mind was blown because it was doing stuff on the Super Nintendo that was well ahead of its time, and it had a good story to it. And I enjoyed every second with that game. From the great boss battles, I know one of my favorite boss battles was the Axum Rangers. Oh, that was classic.
Oh, I remember those guys.
Yeah, it was classic. I mean, there's so many funny bosses. Like you fight a cake, like the cake guy.
Yes.
It was like so random, but it was like awesome game. I loved it. And it was pretty long too. I remember when I got it, it took me. Well, I was young, so it took me a lot longer to get through it. So I know me and my friend at the time were like playing it simultaneously, and like it took us a good month, like nonstop playing it to finally beat it. It was a great game.
Before we head over to Quick Freeze, I just want to talk about Pokemon for a second. I got the red version back when it came out, and I played it on my Game Boy Pocket, little black thing, and I thought the original Pokemon games were on color for a second, and I was like, wait, that's silver and gold.
Yeah.
And back whenever Pokemon, got, kids were like grabbing onto it, like, hey mommy, I want this, whatever. I wanted the blue version because I really like blue. I mean, I like Sonic the Hedgehog. And I wanted the blue because I also like turtles. And I like turtles.
I like turtles.
I want yeah. But my grandma came to wherever I lived at the time and gave me the red version. I think it might have been for my birthday or whatever, or like an early Christmas present or something. And I was like, oh, I wanted the blue version, but I still played it. And later down, in my opinion, the red version's better. I mean, you can't get Scyther on the blue version. You only get Bellsprout. So yeah.
I've got a quick funny story concerning Pokemon, how I got into Pokemon. Now, around the time when the animated series came out, I've already played a shit ton of RPGs. So I watched the animated, I remember turning on the TV and going, what the hell is this? It was the episode where Pikachu versus Raichu in the gym battle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, why are these furry critters shooting lightning at each other? And it's like, because my Raichu was level 25, and I'm like, call my big brother, they used an RPG reference! And I'm like, what? These two? It's just like, God, he'd just think, oh, you're crazy, Greg. And he sat down and was like, he doesn't have enough experience points yet. And we looked at each other and was like, holy shit, they are using RPG reference. What the fuck is this? So I did some research afterwards, and I found the games, like, hang on, they're RPGs by Nintendo. And we just thought, when's the last, because there's no Earthbound. And there wasn't really any other RPGs made by Nintendo, so it was kind of a first for us in Australia. And I was like, well, we love Nintendo, we love RPGs, I'm giving this game a shot. And it really is addictive, Say what you will for the entire Pokemon fad at that time, when it comes down to it, it's a solid RPG. You can invest lots and lots of hours into it. I think on Silver, the original one, I think I must have invested about 250.
Hell yeah, I love Silver to death.
Yeah. I would say the last 50 hours is just trying to get the free legendary dogs and all that, just tracking them down, whenever they pop up. It's like, oh, you bastards, come on. So much fun.
Yeah. The whole, in the originals, the whole missing number,
Oh yeah.
that whole glitch, man, I remember doing that with, like, 99 unlimited, like, rare candies and Master Balls.
Yeah. Well, I have a funny story as well. Like I got Pokemon Blue, and then later on, I also got Pokemon Yellow because that was like the limited edition and all that. But like it's funny because like my copy of that is practically broken because we used a Game Shark on it. And it's funny because we had like literally we had like level 300 Raichus and stuff like that. Like they were just way past, and like you you would get into a battle with them and like they're level 300 or whatever. Once you get out of the battle, they drop all the way back to like level 5 and stuff like that. But it was just funny because like the names that were all messed up, the levels were all out of whack. The Pokemons had like moves they shouldn't be able to learn. And it was just crazy. Like, and I traded that game in like later on, so I guess I kind of feel bad for whoever got my copy. But
Yeah, like when that Christmas came, all my cousins had some copy of Pokemon. It was one of the greatest Christmases ever because we would get the games. I had the red. My one of the cousins had blue, and my other cousin had yellow, and we all played and hooked up and traded and battled, and it was great. It's your turn now.
I was just gonna say. No, I was just gonna say to add to the Pokemon. My favorite was the yellow version, just because out of the original 150 Pokemon, Pikachu was my favorite, and I remember he used to walk around, walk behind your character.
That was pretty cool.
And you could like turn around and talk to him.
Yeah, and like he got mad or happy with you. Yeah, but I remember like once you traded him away. And even if you got like another Pikachu back, he like stopped following you. Or if you like evolved him into Raichu, he'd stop following you then. And I was just like, you know what, I'm never going to evolve this thing until like I absolutely needed to. And I got all the way up to like Giovanni or whatever, and I'm like, you know what, I need to evolve my Pikachu, and I really don't want to because then he won't follow me around. I'm like, this is stupid. So eventually I had to catch a second Pikachu, evolve him that way, so my other Pikachu would still follow me. But yeah, the yellow was my favorite, man. I used to play that game during gym class, sitting on the bleachers while we were supposed to be playing baseball or something. And I'm sitting there with my Game Boy Pocket and playing Pokemon Yellow in the Savari Zone, and I'm getting all mad because my Kangaskhan got away from me because I couldn't catch the thing. I'm like, this is... But yeah.
Your PE teacher goes, "Why aren't you training?" "I am. On my Game Boy."
That's what he did. He used to be like, "Clava, you're up next." I'll be like, my leg is broken. I can't play. So, but yeah, to get into the RPGs though, with TechnoSqueek, my first one was Dragon Warrior for the NES, but I was just grinding around, didn't really know what to do in that game. I would go into areas that were like so overpowered and they would kill me. I remember this one guy was like, I think the monster was like Goldman or something like that.
Oh, the Gold Golem. Yeah.
Yeah, the Gold Golem, that's him. Yeah, I would go to him because he was gold. I'm like, oh, if I kill this thing, I get tons of money. And the guy was like way too powerful for me, so I said, you know what, screw this, I'm playing Mario 3. But but what actually got me into RPGs in the first place, it was actually 3 different games. The first one was Final Fantasy 3, or 6 in Japan. That game was absolutely like amazing. The graphics, the characters and way they showed expressions, and that opera. You guys remember that opera scene in that game?
Yep.
Like totally like beautiful. Like when I was playing that game when I was a little kid. I'm not into opera when I'm a kid, but like that, it was totally beautiful. I was like, dude, this is amazing.
It sounds better done by an orchestra, because I actually went to Distant Worlds in Australia, and that was one of the finale pieces, and they actually got real sopranos to go on stage and sing that. and it
Yeah,
was really good.
Yeah, I've heard that from the distant world, and again, it's almost breathtaking. It's amazing. But the one of the another RPG that I kind of liked on the Super Nintendo was Secrets of Evermore.
Yeah.
Ooh. Someone else.
Yeah,
Okay, you're the first person outside on first person on YouTube that's played that game. Cool.
I love that game. The fact that you travel through time to like prehistoric to like medieval to the future.
Yep.
That was like, oh, this is epic. And then fact that it's not like a turn-based, it's action RPG, or I guess you could say that. And you could switch between either the little boy or your dog. And I always liked it because whoever you were not controlling at the time was somewhat always more powerful than you were. And but yeah, that game was simply amazing. My favorite part was just watching the dog change into like other forms of the dog. You know, like when he was in the future, he looked like a toaster on wheels. When he was in like the prehistoric level, he looked like a werewolf or something like that. But yeah, that game was simply amazing. I love the whole alchemy thing where you had to find different different materials and make them so you can shoot a fireball. And if I ran out of like red peppers, I'm like, oh crap! Now I gotta like figure out how to beat this thing.
It copped a lot of flack because that was the next game that was released after Secret of Mana, which is actually my favorite game on the Super Nintendo. When I found out there was Secret of Evermore and it came out in Australia, it's like, oh my god, it's the same as Secret of Mana. Buying this, and I bagged my. I think that was the only two Secret of games that existed. And then when I got my computer for the first time, I found about Secret of Mana 2. You know, that was only released in Japan, and that's also awesome. But what I found out later on is Squaresoft didn't want to release Secret of Mana 2, so instead they made their US studio make Secret of Evermore instead, which I don't think it actually came out in Japan. I could be wrong. But it was interesting how that planned out. I actually like all three games. I think they're great. But a lot of old school Mana fans, they give Evermore a lot of shit. And I don't know why, because I still think it's an enjoyable experience. And like you said before, I like the changing of the areas and how the dog evolves, which is really cool. And just the whole fact that well, I don't want to say that because I don't want to spoil the game, but it concerns characters from the real world. I like how they transitioned into the fantasy world. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. And I liked kind of the realism to it. It wasn't all about magic. It's about the weapons were realistic things. Like the start, you get a bone to use at enemies. And, of course, the alchemy system, like you gather materials and that's how you do magic. Yeah, I think it's a really solid game, and I hope I don't think it's out on Virtual Console yet, which is very surprising.
Another game I wanted to just mention really quick was Shining Force 2 for the Sega Genesis.
Okay, you're one of my new best friends. That's my second favorite game. It's actually, no, it remains on my top 10 favorite RPGs of all time. I worship that game. Oh my god, but you continue and I'll add on afterwards.
No, again, just like Evermore, that game was simply amazing, and I'm not a fan of like, tactical RPGs, which is this one kind of was, but for some reason I absolutely loved it. Just like all the different characters, like you had a human-sized rat that was a thief, and
Slade.
yeah, Slade, yeah, that was his name, and you had a bird that looked like a chicken, and then once you upgraded him, he turned into like this beautiful phoenix.
That's Peter.
Yeah, Peter, yeah. And the whole game is just really great. I always kind of like press like the A button like right before they like do the strike, hoping they would do like another strike. You know how that happened in the game?
Yeah, and you find out it's just by chance.
Yeah, it's just by chance, but like I always push that A button like hoping to get that extra hit, and I'm just like, when it actually happened, I was like, yes, he did it! Oh my god, this is crazy.
It's really one of the most addictive games, and a lot of people bag the Mega Drive for not having RPGs, and I always say to them, have you played Shining Force 2 yet? No, go play that, because you have a different opinion. No, I love Shining Force 2. I have a really good story with that, and basically what happened was I got a Mega Drive magazine, and for all of you that's wondering what the fuck a Mega Drive is, that's what the Genesis is called in Australia and
Yeah.
Europe.
And Japan?
And Japan, yeah. Now, I actually bought my my monthly Mega Drive magazine, and it had a 4-page spread of Shining Force 2. I'm like, oh, this game looks so awesome. So when it came out of the video store, we must have hired that about 6 times, and the 7th time, my dad would just like, why don't we just buy it? It's just like, let's go up to them and ask for an offer. And they looked at our lists like, wow, you guys hired that so many times. Yeah, we'll sell it to you. And we got the copy, and it's just like, oh, awesome. But I remember being, I think, like 9 years old, wanting to get out of bed, and my dad would be still up at like 11, 12 o'clock playing the game, and I'd be trying to sneak a peek, and he'd be like, go to bed, you got school in the morning. It's like, I don't care, I want to see the game.
Yeah, me and my brother used to do that too. We used to rent it all the time from Blockbuster to the point where it was like, we just gotta buy this game. It's so amazing. Because, you return it and you could never beat the game because you had to bring it back to the store. But yeah, we bought that, and like every battle we would hand each other the controller, like, here, you do this battle, I'll do this battle. And we just sat in front of the TV for hours. That game was... It was just great.
There's so many ways to play that game because there's secret little items to promote your characters with. It's like, you reach level 20 and then there's the secret items. And what we would do is we would give those items to different characters every time we played the game and see who was like the best ones, and we just had so much fun. The sad news, just want to touch upon, is my copy actually got stolen. And I said if I ever see that little shit that stole it, I'm just going to run after him like a bull in a gate. Like, and I'll be like, what the hell? And all I could say is he better be running too. But, yeah, one of the most favorite pastimes, as you probably could understand, was I really don't have a big memory because I play so many fucking RPGs, I lose a lot of information. But Shining Force 2 is one of those games that I remember everything. Like I was mentioning before, I knew the characters by name, like off by heart, because it is one of my favorite RPGs. And it's just got like the best villain of all time, which is Xeon. So badass.
Oh, that guy was crazy.
Oh my god. It's just so awesome. But one of the biggest things I remember of Shining Force 2, and it's probably a staple in all Camelot's games, is collecting Mithril. And the amount of times we had to restart the system, saying every time we'd go to the dwarf, hand them a piece of Mithril, go outside, go back, hope that it's a good weapon they made for them, and if it's not, reset, try it all again. I think there might have been one day that we were doing it for 7 hours. Trying to get the best possible weapons. And the best one in the game is actually by Slade, which is this sword called the Gizarm. And why it was so awesome is because we took him in a battle, and he attacked the enemy, and the game stopped, and it flashed. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And the enemy kind of got sliced into different sectors, and it just came on the screen, the enemy was sliced to ribbons. I'm like, no damage counter? And we figured out it's actually an instant kill. So we just took him around. He was instant killing everything. It was just like, oh my god. He's so awesome.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite characters in that game. Just because he's so powerful once he's promoted to ninja.
Yeah. Oh my god. So is Peter when he's promoted to the Phoenix.
Yeah.
And the Tort, a lot of people don't like Tort. The turtle character, but once you power him up, he's pretty powerful too.
Really? I was never able to get him to 20. He always died before I could do that.
We kept restarting the battle and we promote him, and his stats actually skyrocket more than any other character, and his attack power is just, oh my god, he's awesome. But yeah, that's really cool. Someone else has played Shining Force 2. As everyone knows on my channel, I've pretty much spent 2 months of this year playing all 3 Shining Force 3 scenarios, and that's equally as good. A very, very expensive undertaking if you want to track down all 3. And then there's the premium disc that's afterwards that was released in very rare quantities to anyone who mailed in the 3... I would say spine labels to Sega, and they will send that back. And what's cool about that premium disc, it's got all the final battles from all the Shining Force games redone on the Saturn engine. So I really want to play that, including Xeon. So I'm really looking forward to playing that redone. So yeah.
Dan's being a little quiet.
I don't want to interrupt.
He's soaking in the knowledge, man.
No, I want to play Shining Force 2 because I recently, well, a while back, when I got my Genesis, I haven't had it long, I picked up Shining Force, the original one, for only like $5, and I was really addicted to it from what I was playing, and it's like, it was pretty cool, and like, I love the cutscenes in between battles, like, those are so amazing.
Yeah. Shining Force 1 is a good one too, yeah.
The coolest thing is there's this sort of an arc between the games. They actually loosely connect with each other. And with Shining Force 1, it actually connects to Shining in the Darkness and another game called Shining Force Final Conflict for the Game Gear that never came out outside of Japan, but it's been fan translated. That is awesome. Have you ever played Final Conflict?
No.
No.
Never heard of that.
It actually bridges 1 and 2 together. And it has the younger characters in Shining Force are older, and the older characters in Shining Force 2 are younger. So it acts in the middle, and it's really good. It answers a lot of questions, and the game completely takes place in the lands of 2. It even has the same soundtrack as 2, but it's in 8-bit.
Real fast, talking about tactical RPGs, I really got into, the Advance Wars, Days of Ruin on the DS. That's really fun.
If you like Intelligent Systems, which is the guys that did Advance Wars, you should give Fire Emblem a go. That's my favorite from the company. It's actually my second favorite strategy RPG. I really love Fire Emblem.
That's cool. Aren't they, like, if a character dies, they're gone forever?
Yep. That's one of the challenges of Fire Emblem, and I'm one of those guys who has a soft spot for characters. Like, no man left behind. You're all gonna come with me to the end. And what's funny is I do that. I always beat the Fire Emblem games with everyone survived. But I remember watching a YouTube video where this guy played it, and every one of his characters that weren't a part of the story was dead.
Oh.
It was just like, died this battle, like, aw.
I guess the next thing you might want to do is do that YouTube shout out.
Alright, I'll do that right now. I'd like to shout out A. Murphy, 245. Let me get that. Let me see if that number is correct.
I believe it is, yeah.
Yeah, go check out his channel. And because he's a big Saturn collector. He's trying to collect all his Saturn games in the Japan, you know, like he sold all his PAL games and trying to get all the Saturn, you know, releases, which is pretty cool.
That's a big undertaking, but the good thing is they cost a lot less than the PAL copies.
Yeah. I talking about the Saturn, I actually bought me Grandia and X-Men vs. Street Fighter and a action replay 4 megabytes plus.
That's
card.
what I have.
Yeah.
That's nice. I'm glad you got Grandia, because I think, from what I've heard, the Saturn version's superior to the PlayStation one.
Yeah, I mean, every 2D game that was released on the Saturn, pretty much every one of them, that was also released on PlayStation, the Saturn version's 10 times better. Like, all the fighters, because, you know, with the Versus series, like SNK versus Capcom, and you know, X-Men versus Street Fighter, the whole tag mode is taken out. You can't tag people in. Like if you have to fight the first round with you know, your first character you pick, and then the second round you play with the second player you picked, and that's kind of
Yeah, I always heard that, and I've seen some footage of some 2D games on the Saturn. Yeah, it was definitely made for 2D games. It just looks so gorgeous, especially Guardian Heroes, which is the game I never got to play as a kid. But that's why I'm looking forward to the new edition they're going to be releasing soon for one of the. I think it's just for Xbox Live so far.
Wait, they're releasing Grandia for...
No, Guardian Heroes.
Oh. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, I can't wait for that. I didn't get to play that either because I never owned a Saturn back in the day. Which sucks. I had the PlayStation.
Me too.
Yeah, I had PlayStation 2.
Yeah, it's pretty much me. I used to hire out a Saturn. It was good times.
I never knew the Saturn existed.
I was a crazy Sega freak, so I found out about the Saturn. It's like, oh my god, look at the graphics. I remember getting virtual highlight of all the games. And like, oh my god, this is so awesome. I remember, I think a couple years ago, I went back to playing it and just like, what was I thinking?
It's like one of the worst games for
Yeah.
It just, oh, the enemies come up to you close, you'd see them pixelated, like, really pixelated, and you're just like, oh god, what the hell?
Oh, man. But yeah, go check out A Murphy 245's channel. He does a lot of great videos. He also has a Let's Play channel. Not for sure what that channel... Oh, it is Import Gamer UK, all one word, all lowercase. So if you want to check that out as well. So, yeah, go check him out.
Anyways, it is that time in the podcast where we do our segments. And I'm going to kick things off where I recommend obscure gems that people probably haven't heard of. So this week's gem comes from Atlas of all people, and it's on the Nintendo DS. It is an old school RPG, and that is Etrian Odyssey 3, The Drowned City. It's fantastic. It's old school. It's like, you're going down a hall and like you encounter enemies randomly. It's like 3D dungeon crawling, and you have to level grind in this game. Like, if you like grinding, then this is a game for you, basically, because you have to grind. You're gonna get your ass kicked eventually, but it's so awesome, and visually it's stunning. You get your own ship later on, so you can like explore from islands to islands. Just a fantastic game, and it's really challenging. I mean, you're gonna come through a lot of tough encounters, and well, you're gonna spend a good amount of time grinding through. But if you like old school 3D dungeon crawlers, this is basically one of the great games to get on the DS.
I've got one, and I've been charging through that. But what's funny is that game doesn't have a timer, so you don't know how long you've been playing with the game. But I can tell you that now, yeah, that is one of the most grind-heavy games I've ever played. One of the reasons that I was attracted to it is one of my favorite composers actually does the music for those games, and that's Yuzo Koshiro.
Phenomenal music in the games.
Oh, he does such a good job. Just in every game he does, and Etrian Odyssey's no exception. I was actually told by none other than Pete Dorr to skip 1 and then go straight on to 3.
Yeah.
Because he said that 3 is more enjoyable.
It's really refined. Like, compared to 1 and 2, Etrian Odyssey 3 is just really refined. So if you see, like, any, like, problems, like, with 1 and 2, basically they were fixed in 3.
Cool, and that's on my list of DS games to get. I just never come across it. And the other troublesome thing with Atlas is I love Atlas, but they don't actually release games in Australia. But because handhelds are region 3, I can import. So I just have to find the right price before I import it.
Definitely. It's got one of my favorite battle themes. The battle themes in Etrian Odyssey 3 is just epic. Love it. So, Kliba?
Alright guys, so my segment I'm just going to talk about a retro game that I used to play when I was a kid, and the first one that came to mind is a game called Top Gear 3000 for the Super Nintendo. Have you guys ever heard of this game?
No.
No, actually.
Okay, well, it's a sequel to Top Gear 2 for the Super Nintendo, and it was released in 1993. In Japan, it was known as the Planet Champ TG3000. And like I said before, it's just like a typical racing game, but it was set into like the future where you raced on all these different alien worlds with all these different settings, and like like ice planet, fire planet, like some weird squishy purple planet, and it had like 47 different tracks within the game. Now, obviously, you race in like a normal, kind of like a sports Ferrari type of car, but each race had about like 20 different racers, including yourself. So you actually fought against 18 or 19 AI characters. Now, within the game, you obviously race, but you're racing to not only be the best racer in the game, but you're also racing to get credits in the game that you could use to upgrade your engine, your gearbox, your tires, armor, boost, and weapon systems. And depending what you did in the race, you could earn bonus credits. Like if you finished the race with an active boost while crossing the finish line, you got like 30,000 extra credits, or if you completed the race without hitting anybody or hitting any obstacles, you got extra credits, and you could use those extra credits for the different upgrades. And upgrades were really, really important in this game, because if you fell behind in your upgrades, you know, you would not do as well, because the computer AI characters, they would start out really easy at the beginning of the game, but then they got really hard the longer you play. Now, they were, you know, there's different passwords in the game that you could use, you know, to save your progress and all that wonderful stuff. But there's other passwords in the game that you can use for cheats. One of the most famous ones, where if you put all B's in every single slot of the password, you actually gained 1 million credits that you could use to buy every single upgrade at the start of the game. And I didn't know that when I had it, but when I found out later, I was just like, oh man, when I had that code, or if I had that code, that would have helped out a lot. So if you guys ever get a chance to get Top Gear 3000 for the Super Nintendo, it's actually, I don't know if it's rare, but it is kind of hard to find. But I do recommend, if you guys ever find Top Gear 3000 for the Super Nintendo, get it. I highly recommend it. I used to spend hours and hours, weekends and weekends, playing this game with my brothers and friends. It was simply great.
Yeah, because like I said before, like I have Top Gear, the original one on the Super Nintendo, and like I had never heard of this game, but like I'm looking at it and it's like, you know, the settings are really cool, and like the upgrade features wasn't in Top Gear, so it was like, it was pretty hard, Top Gear, because you have to go through, you know, with no cheats or nothing. But yeah, it's a great racing game. I mean, if it's the same kind of gameplay, it's really spot on.
Well, I've never played the Top Gear 1 or 2, but I only played the 3000. But if it's, yeah, I can't really compare the ones that came before it. But like I said, I really enjoyed the 3000, so I do recommend that one. All right, Derek, MrTechnoSqueek, what exactly is pissing you off this week?
Oh my god. First off, it's Nintendo. Alright, so everyone is excited about Star Fox 64 3D. You know, everyone's excited about the multiplayer. Oh, hey, guess what? No online. What the fuck, Nintendo? Mm-hmm. Like, it's fucking 2011, almost 2012. We're almost gonna die. You know, some, you know, internet play with fucking Star Fox, it'd be pretty cool, you know, but no, they're like, nope, nope. The only cool thing about it is that if you do play multiplayer, you only need one cart, but you can't play online. That pisses me off.
Okay, so this is the point in the podcast where we're going to answer questions, but unfortunately we only got one question, and it just happens to be by A Murphy 245, and he asked, really enjoyed the first podcast, guys. My question is, where's the retro love? Well, I don't know about you guys, but I think we pretty much did a lot of retro love in this episode.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
The thing you gotta notice with like, when we're saying games we've been playing recently, basically it's gonna tend to be more modern because, I know for me it is because like I have them handhelds like the 3DS, PSP, and I'm at college, so it's like really easy to just play those, and like I don't have that much time to invest in retro games, but I mean I'm staring at like tons of retro games from 64, Genesis, Super Nintendo, and I've been playing a lot of Game Boy games lately, so.
Yeah, I agree with you because, we're going to talk about modern games on games we've been playing. And, like, I play retro games all the time, but that's, like, for my Quick Freeze Versus series that I do on my channel. But I don't want to talk about that on the podcast because then you'll know what game I'm going to be reviewing. And I like to kind of keep that a secret.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard.
I mean, Dragon Quest 4, that's retro. Kinda. I mean... It was released for the DS, but it was released in Japan back in the day.
Yeah, wasn't it like Super Famicom or something?
No, it was the last on the Nintendo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it was released here, too.
Yeah.
For Dragon Warrior 4.
Oh, that's right, yeah. I keep forgetting about that, but yeah. And then it got re-released in Japan on the PlayStation 1. They actually advertised that on Dragon Warrior 7, and then it just never got...
Yeah. Happy Console Gamers did that video.
Yeah.
I actually knew about that before I watched the video, but it was pretty sad, because I wanted to see Dragon Quest 4 on the PlayStation. But I'm still going to get that, because actually, when I said I want to get every RPG, I want to get at least one copy of every game, but in the terms of Dragon Quest, I am getting anything with the Dragon Quest label on it. So it's just going to be this room, this freaking mini museum of Dragon Quest stuff.
I think I have to say, Dragon Quest is now my favorite RPG of all time. Series, anyways. Back in the day, I did not like turn-based at all. And, and I didn't really know Pokemon was a turn-based, I'm dumb, I guess. I was dumb at that age, I guess. But yeah, now, playing 9, I can't, I love it, I really like Secret of Mana, too.
Love that game so much.
Yeah. But we've already mentioned all that.
Well, I hope that answers Eddie Murphy's 245's
Eddie
question.
Murphy.
Yeah, Eddie Murphy's. Eddie Murphy. I'm sorry, A. Murphy. So we did share some retro and modern love. So is that about it, guys? You just want to end it here? Or?
Yeah. Definitely got enough.
All right. Well, let's thank RPGswagman for joining us for episode 2 of the Press Start podcast. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm a podcast whore, so whenever someone says, go on our podcast, I'm like, hell yeah. Don't have to think about it twice. So thank you guys for having me on.
No problem.
Oh, yeah. It was awesome.
Hell yeah.
It's been great talking to you.
Great talking to you guys as well.
Yeah. Okay, so that's about it. And to our listeners, if you guys, we didn't have any questions except for just that one. But if you do have any questions, please leave it in either a comment below or you can email us at pressstartpod@gmail.com. And we would like to get some questions for future episodes.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah.